Well, hey there. So, all right. So we're gonna be day number 4, but actually it's like day number 5. I'll explain to you why. I tried to do the quenching on the first time and it didn't work. Like I said, I'm not somebody that does this all the time, and sometimes I can make mistakes, and everybody does mistakes, so you don't have to be scared about doing mistakes, right? Yeah. So what happened is with this was I already had some issues sometimes with my forge not being really made for it's not a really wide forge. It's not like a V-shaped forge. So you can already tell that I put some clay on the back and I've already done a little bit of a quench, but I wasn't able to bring the heat evenly around, and I especially had a hard time to heat up this last part right here. So as a kitchen knife, it's important to have it all even everywhere. I wish I didn't heat it up as much or whatever, because you can see all the little scales on there, and that's what your carbon is coming out of your blade. So this is pretty much the same stuff as right here. You can see where I forged the blade, and you get those little scales that come out. That's exactly it right there. That's your carbon that comes out. The Japanese sword makers, they had a way of doing that by putting clay in a certain kind of straw, and they wrap their pieces of metal with that, and they put a clay paste on it, let it dry, and then they forge with that. And what it does, it puts your carbon back into your blade. It's not a big deal that, you know, I've done it once. You don't want to try to do it too many times, and I already touched the tip of that blade, and I had to straighten it all up before I video you guys. And I made sure to put it straight again, because it does warp a little bit when you let it go, or might have touched it on some wood. I also had not enough coals when I was doing my forging, so you know, as I was putting wood into the forge, it wasn't hot enough to, by the time the wood turned into coals, I didn't have enough, so I had to keep adding on to it. And I did put a little bit too much clay on the back of this, so I put like 2 coating, thinking, you know, it was going to work better. Actually, it didn't. So I warned some people not to put too much, and then I did put too much. So it's not a big deal to do some mistakes. And I mean, like I said, a lot of people wouldn't even put that they've done a mistake on there, but I am. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to just, you know, sand it back quickly, so to show you when you do a mistake, you can fix it again. I'm just going to use this 120 here sandpaper. I'm just going to sand this quickly, get the worst off of it. Even if it stays rough a bit, it's not a big deal. You want it to be rough. You want it to be grabby. You want that paste, that clay to grab onto it. So you can tell by the look of this, if I would have had it, you know, at the right temperature and hit it, it would have been nice hamon that would have looked like that on there. So I'm going to leave a little bit of those scales on there. I'm not too worried. Again, this is just like it's a quenching, so you want that. I just want to try to get my edge nice, and I hope I'm sanding here so people can see this. There you go. That's a bit. Should be good. Some of the scales here, but that's the carbon, you know, coming out of your blade a bit. When you have high carbon blades, a lot of times they're not really going to forge with them or nothing. It's just going to come with the plate, and the plate is already the right temperature or the right carbon that they want it, and then all they do is just grind, make sure they don't overheat it, and then, you know, they make knife like that. But I like to forge it right from the get-go. I think this should be straight enough. And yeah, you can always touch it just a little tiny bit when you're done, but not very much, because the metal is a little soft. It's kind of hard to let it there so it stays at its own spot, you know. But once you get it harder, you can touch it just a little bit, and you got to be careful. You don't want to snap that. So I'm gonna just clean this up quickly, and I'm gonna show you how I do the clay part. I already videotaped it the last time, but there's no point of showing it twice, so I'm just gonna do it all just in one day today. Show you guys again how I do it, and that's about that. But before we go too far, today's foraging is brought to you by Tuc de Brou, which is a cabane à tuc. So it's pretty much a maple shack if you want. It's got a maple in there flavor and some toffee, and very good beer. So I stacked up on these, and we're gonna enjoy a few of these while we're actually working. So we're in isolation, but hey, cheers to you guys. That's very nice. All right, so what we're using today is going to be high temperature stove and furnace cement. You can get this product at pretty much any ducking work stores, or maybe Home Depot. I'm not sure. But yeah, or you can probably order it online. This is a small bucket. I think this is enough for most people for a long time. So yeah, this works really good. Instead of using the traditional Japanese clay, those guys have a mixture of I believe it's clay, ashes, and silica, like a little bit of crushed silica, and they put that in there in a certain amount. I'm not too sure of the right exact amount, but this stuff usually will have a resin that will come on the top, and you just mix that up all evenly with all the rest of it, and whatever dried in your bucket, you just put it in the garbage. It's no use. This product actually will harden with some heat, so when I quench my blades, I will try to do it in one day. Some people let it dry like for 1 or 2 days. I go right on there, but I'll show you what I do with my gloves. You need to use the big gloves over there, and they'll be your friend for this one. So yeah, so I mix this all up. If you want to add just a little bit of water, you can do that, but for what we're gonna do, I want to keep it kind of as thick as possible because I want it to dry. If you put water with it, it'll kind of bubble up a little bit more, I find. So you just keep it the way it is here, and use a piece of cardboard and put it on there, and then you're good to go. So I'll find myself a piece of cardboard. All right, so what you're going to be needing is popsicle sticks. You can have another 2, and you're going to need toothpicks. Toothpicks are your friends in this occasion, because they help you take away some mistakes. This is garbage. All right, so there's not a whole lot of science with this. The Japanese maker, unlike some people think that it was their hammer work that was making those hamon that they called, it's they do the exact same thing that I'm doing right here, and it's all, every Japanese or sword maker's got their own recipe for doing this. I'd say you put about the thickness of your popsicle stick. I think I put a little too much the first time, and it wasn't any better, so you know. So there's no real science with this. You just pop it out. I'm looking at the lines that I already did from the previous one, and I'm kind of using that. You want to put some clay around the handle area. You want to stop that heat going through. When you quench it, you don't want this part to be hard. And what this is going to do basically is it's going to keep the back of your knife nice and soft, so it's going to be less brittle. That looks good. And it depends on the day too. Like the other day I did a mistake. I mean, it depends on the day. I felt it wasn't going as easy as today. Maybe like even some guys will relate to this. When you're hunting and you go skeet shooting, some days you're really good, some other days you're medium, you know, and some other days, well, you're not good at all. So the Japanese sword makers have a way to do this. By testing every morning before they start, they'll get a test. If they can't pass that test, they're not even going to try. They're not even going to get on there. So the first thing he does in the morning, he's got his little prayer, of course, that he does. He's got his ceremony thing, but he takes a piece of metal. It's not too big, maybe 1/4 inch or 3/8, a little rod, about, you know, square rod, and then he bangs it with his hammer, and without any heat, just cold metal, and then he bangs it with his hammer until he, you know, brings it to a fine little point, and just the heat, and he does that really quick, like boom, 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 and just he brings that piece of metal right to a tip, and just that action is so, it brings the metal to a hot enough that he can light up a piece of paper. So he lights up a piece of paper, and that's how he starts his morning. So I'm not doing any tests like that, but I feel some days when you don't, you know, you do a mistake, don't fuss it, just, you know, go home, come back with a fresh mind, and it'll really help your, you'll come back, and then something that you find that was either a little hard or whatever will be really easy, or you'll just think differently. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be using the blowtorch to help me to heat up this section here, because this section here is pretty easy to do, but for long knives, because the blade is made the other way, I have to put the blade in the forge in this way in order for it to sit in the forge. The Tanto style, the blade is the angle the other way, so I can put my edge in the flame and I can get it hot right away. So I'm gonna try to do that today. Use the blowtorch to get the heat all even, and it should work. It should do the trick. So I'm going to be creating a hamon with this, and I really like this technique because you could just use water. I'm warming up the pail over there, but I'll probably dump half of the water and go get some warm water and bring it to room temperature. You don't want it to be too cold, because it's going to create too big of a shock, and then you can snap your blade. You could do it with water, but there's a certain extent, you know, like you don't want to push it. Alright, this is pretty good. I'm going to put some on the back too, and it doesn't have to be pretty. It's just basically a barrier for that water, so it doesn't touch your metal, and it'll insulate it. It works very well when you do it right. Okay, let it sit for now, and it dries fairly quick. It'll make like a little skin on it. Don't be surprised even if there's little clumps or a little, I'm even getting at the end of my my bucket here, and it's not the best. If you want to, let's say I went too far and I want to make a little dimple here, you just use your stick, you push it, touch it. Looks pretty good. I like that. Looks decent. And then you can use your toothpick to clean the rest of it. Just like that. Okay. Now we'll do the other side. I decided to grab it right out of the bucket this time. You could use, if you're doing like letterings and stuff, I don't want the bucket or the pail to be drying, but I'm pretty much at the end of this thing, so it doesn't really matter at this point. So you want to put an good enough coating, but not too thick. Like I said, about the thickness of your popsicle stick is about the best example. I just thought about it afterwards, so I'm repeating myself, but it's good sometimes, giving you guys tricks. So yeah, every samurai sword maker has got this technique going, and they will use it. And they dump that blade straight into water. I imagine the water's not cold either, because it's inside their forge. But that's what they do. You can also take a torch and heat up just the... I went down a bit here. Dang it. You can use like a torch and heat up the edge of... yeah, I just fixed it up. There you go. You can fix it back up. I'll just keep it in my hand this time. Okay. Hey, I think I might have went down a little too much here, but you can always fix it. Put more clay. Tip. Oh. All right. A bit more on the back. There you go. Just like that. Oh. So, I'll show you what to do when you do a little bit of a mistake, but it's not really a mistake. Wait till it dries up a little bit. Push it back. Right, and then you use your toothpick and you take out the excess, because just that little bit of a layer is enough to make it a little different. Okay, hope you guys can see that well. I hope I'm not working too close. Okay. That looks good. Alright, well that's pretty much it. Some people let it dry like for 2 days. I'm gonna let it dry maybe a little bit just so I don't drop it on the flame. I think I was a little bit too much in a hurry yesterday. You can't press these things, you know, you gotta take your time. It's not a race. And the fun thing about this, if you get some on your fingers, you get water and you can just wash it right off. So it's very nice stuff. I think I have enough to make 1 or 2 more. So I'll put the lid back on this thing and keep it there. Dry stuff. Get rid of this dry stuff in here. There you go. So what I'll do is, because the heat cures it up, I'm going to just take these pliers and I'm going to just clamp them right here. A little bit of heat, not too much, just enough. And I'll just put some more fire in the stove and then it'll just warm it up a little bit. I'd say I'll leave it maybe about a half hour or so and then I'll come back to you guys. Alright, so what I did is I went to grab some of those little 2x4 pieces. And those things work really good. I just put them in the fire, put them in there, and got some water too, and it's on the warm side. There you go, I just packed it right up. Getting a lot of coals this time. I'm not gonna miss my chance. I only got 1 more. I'm gonna take the time to do it right, and I'll be able to heat at least the 3/4 of the tip. And what I'll do is use the blowtorch. I went and grabbed my blowtorch here. And then as it's in the forge, I'll give it a little bit of a help just on the back here, and that's all I need. It's not a really thick blade, so it shouldn't take too much heat, except the last time I just didn't, I don't know, I was the end of the day kind of deal. And then I also took the time to made it really thinner here. Like I took the beef off of that blade, so I took my file and did a little bit more filing on there. So yeah, you know, I put maybe 3 hours, maybe 3.5, 4 hours of time just in, you know, shaving it off and doing all the contour of your blade. And then yeah, it didn't take too long. You can do it all by hand. You don't need to have anything else. All I've used is this bastard file, and this is all you need if you take your time. You can also use the machine there, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a mechanical kind of guy. I like to put, I'm a hands-on guy. I like to put my hands on everything and get a really good feeling about it. So we'll get back to you. So I was actually looking at my blade here, and I need to add up just a little stuff here, a little bit more. You get to see when it really dries dry. Just a tad, not too much, just to make it even. The underneath there had a good chance to dry really good, so that's good. There, that's it, no more than that. I just wanted to, just to show you, sometimes you just touch it a bit and that's good enough. Over here. There you go. Alright, so it dried up really fast, as you can see, and our fire looks really good. Starting to really make some good coals, so we're going to be ready in about another 15 minutes. So I'll get back to you guys. All right, so before I start the forge, this looks much better. Look at this right here. I want to tell you a few things before I start my fan, and then it gets too loud. So I'm going to show you this blade. This looks much better now. It's all nice and dry. I could touch it, but it's pretty warm because of the heat of that stove. Is just enough, not too much, just enough to dry it a little faster than just, you know, room temperature. My water is ready to go. My coals looks really good too. Oh, look at that. That's very nice. Okay, so basically we're good to go. I can start this. I wanted to explain a few things of what my plan was going to be. I'm trying to heat in the middle of this blade. I don't want to go and heat the tip. That part is always easy to heat up. And last time I touched it a little bit at the end of my forge, so I don't want to do that. You got to really be careful. I'm going to have to sit it upright, which means that the edge that I want to heat up is going to have to be facing up a little bit. And there's advantage and disadvantage. Usually I like to just have my blade on the heat part, and then it gets heated up faster. I'm not too worried about the back of the blade. It's more this part here, but I'll be using the blowtorch to heat up this part right here, and the same time with the bellow. I wanted to explain a few things too about this thing. People thought that my exhaust fan was part of the blower that goes underneath it, but it's not. The only thing that the fan does is to exhaust all the gases outside. And this is my only way of putting air in here, and it's a Japanese bellow. I had a few questions about this, and it's a very simple means. It's the same flap on the other side, and there's a clapper. There's a little compartment here. It's all nice and even here. It going right straight, so it's a box in here. And there's a little flap on this side, and there's a little flap on the other side. So if I go like this, the flap on the other side opens up, air goes here inside my system. If I push, this opens up, and then it opens a little flap at the end, air goes out from this side, and this one here shuts. So it's very simple. There's 4 flaps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you push and pull, and there's air coming out at both actions. So it's a very efficient way of using your air. And so I'll be using both hands a little bit. So that's it. We're good to start. Oh, but before we do start, I do have to say, very important right here, have a nice drink. The river's nice. Very windy today, but we'll take it. It's nice. It's not windy inside. All right, so this blade looks really good. I'm happy about it. I hope it goes good. Like I said, I quenched all the other 3 blades the other day, and it went out fine. The last time I had a little bit of a problem. I don't want to overheat this blade again, but I'll make it sure it's all nice and even, and then we'll plunge it into that water, and that'll flake all right off. So that's it. I'm gonna start off and put the coals in there and start this fan. That's it. That's what I want. Yet again, I'm repeating myself, but make sure that there's no nails in your coals, because they will stick into your blade and they can destroy your job. I've had it happen to me on a smaller blades, but that's how you learn. You learn by making mistakes. This time I'm going to make sure I have enough coals to make a nice good fire. And last time my clay on the back of my knife wasn't dry, so I tried to dry it at the same time, and it didn't go too well, because by that time I didn't have enough coals, and then I tried to put more wood, and by the time the wood would turn into coal, it wouldn't heat up the blade enough. So, but hey, it's all a learning process. The whole thing is a learning process, and that's what I like about it, because it's not a given. Takes practice. Hey. I'm gonna try to put as much as I can in here. I'll even put some more new wood on the top. Yeah, this is the good stuff. So there you go, you got an instant forge. I like my little system, it's kind of nice. Just an old stove that was sitting here in the corner. And I just turned it into something usable. The stove itself underneath there, it's not very efficient. It's just an old barrel stove, but for what I need to do here, it's good enough. So I'll start with this. That's good. This will probably be much better. Use your gloves, make sure you don't burn yourself. It might still bubble because there's still some humidity in that in the clay, but I'm warming it up a little bit right now. Not too much at a time. I don't want to dump it straight into the coals because the clay is just going to be popping up too much. I want it to dry. See how it bubbles a bit? That's fine. You just take your gloves like this and you just push it back down. And eventually it'll dry faster. There you go. Hope you can see that. Pressing it with my fingers. Woo. See that? Just popped right out. And a little too quick. No big deal. It's still soft inside, so it sticks. Pop on this side too. The fan will change sound by, if I put more heat in there, if I blow the air, the fan will change sound by, I guess the heat makes the bearing goes faster, it expands a bit, so the fan will change the noise, but that's all there is. It's kind of good that it pops, the skin pops a little bit so you can get the air out. You'll see the air escaping from, that's all the water coming out of that clay. You want it to be nice and dry before you put it in your coals, okay? This might take another, you know, 10-15 minutes. I'll get back to you guys. I'll come back, I'll add some more coals, and then we should be ready to start heating this thing up. Actually, it's drying good. It's not bubbling too much anymore. See how that's escaping? There you go, you want that. That's good. More close to the handle. Take your gloves and push it back, pinch it. There. I didn't lose too much time and trying to heat up, trying to dry up that clay, so that's better this time. I might just add up some coals and get it started. Thought it would take longer, but it looks decent. I'll put my pieces of wood on the edges. Okay. Again, I'm starting slowly. I don't want to go too fast. Oh, that looks good. There it is. It's dried up. Good to go. What I'll do is I'll try to make some heat first inside the coals, get them to reduce themselves a little bit. So I'm trying to keep that tip away from the middle of that flame, just so I don't overheat it. I'm going to keep my torch close this time. On the side there. Not gonna put too much air right now. I'm just want to try to get that blade to settle in and soak in some of that heat, and then I'll add up a little bit more air as I go. I'm gonna keep this blowtorch. Oh, now we have time. I believe we have time for another drink. Very important. Ah, cheers everyone. Yeah, this is a homemade home brewer from east side of Ottawa. So yeah, I'm from Canada. I'm originally from New Brunswick and I'm Acadian, but Acadian from New Brunswick, French Acadian from New Brunswick. I'm sure you guys figured it out yet by now that I had a little bit of a accent. Okay, that's good. I'm not going too fast. Now it's turning really white. That's what you want to see now. It's perfectly cured. A little bit more right here. Good. Okay, we're gonna start to heat it up now. I'm gonna put it on the side here. See how it does. Again, I put the tip of my knife, but I went very carefully not to hit it because it's already getting softer. So I'm trying to heat up the middle of that blade, and eventually the tip will get the heat too. The back of that blade. I'm going to start my this is another try here that I'm going to do. I think it's going to work good. I'm going to keep some heat in the back here. I need 3 hands. Okay. I have a little magnet here, but I'm not going to use it. When your blade is getting to a point where it's orange, it's nice and orange, and it's not on the red kind. You won't want it red, you want it orange, almost yellow orange. You're gonna see a difference. Right now I know my blade looks really good in the middle. Yeah, it starts to heat up pretty good. Again, I'm gonna put it like this. Try to heat up the middle of it. Got some room. I don't want to overheat my propane tank here. I don't want to blow myself up, so I'm going nice and easy. Oh, it looks good. It looks good. I want to make sure I heat up the back of this blade more. That's it. Working on the side here. Bit more heat. Looking good. don't want to overheat it. Oh, that looks good. I'll try to work on the back of my blade more, and then I'll bring it back in the front and we should be good to go. Okay, this off. I might blade more like this. Might have hit the tip a bit, but I hope not too much. Try to heat it like that if I can. Not sure if I'll bring it to the right temperature, but it's not hot enough that to my liking. Okay. Oh, that looks good. See how that tip is getting it anyway? That's about as good as it's going to be. That's it. There you go. There you have it. Sometimes you got to make it fast. I didn't have too much time. Oh, I didn't touch the tip. That's good. Maybe just a tad, but that's fine. Perfect. That looks good. See how that chipped right up? It did its job. There she is. She's perfectly quenched. Just the wood here. Oh. See the difference in color from the... This is really nice. This is really nice. You could see right there where it did complete different color. That's good. That means that edge is really hard and the back is a little softer. It's nice and soft. Just gonna take some of that heat, some of that the shock from the quench. You just put a little bit of heat, not too much. I've done this many times where I laid them on the top of the stove there thinking, you know, I'm just gonna temper them. Wrong. They turned blue and then I had to start it all over. So don't do this too much. Just to say that, you know, put a little bit more heat back in the blade. And she's ready to go. Now it's going to be polishing time, and looks like it's nice and straight, just a little tiny bit of a bend. I mean, that's normal. You got to expect it, especially when you have a blade that's thin. Oh, the back might have budged there a bit. It's not bad. It's not bad. We'll touch it a bit. Okay. What you do for this, you use wood. And you go slightly, you don't raise your hammer high at all. I broke a few blades doing that. Oh, there you go. It doesn't take much. You don't have to raise that hammer high. Just go nice and easy while it's still warm a bit. You want to just bring the small imperfections in it There. The tip looks good. I'll be able to make a really good knife out of that. Alright. There. My handle, by the way, is still nice and soft too, so I'll be able to work on it. I know the back is softer, so I'm not too worried about trying to break it. It's going to be a great kitchen knife. Okay. There you have it. That looks decent. And I'll probably touch it, you know, just to make sure, the edge too, just a tiny bit. But I'm not going to show that, it might be long, so that's it. So there you have it. The blade is nice, rightfully quenched. And you can see right now the difference where the metal is white. That means it's really got, like, it hit that water first and it got really good, nice and hard. And the back is a different color, you can tell right there. So it didn't do the same thing. So it looks almost like it's bluish on the edge. That's perfect. We got it. Mission accomplished. For the second time. So sometimes you need a second time, but it's only one more day. That's all there is. Take it easy and start it again. Fresh mind, and then you got it. This is going to turn to be a beautiful knife. I'm going to be sanding this and showing you a little bit afterwards. So it will be the polishing stage. But this is it for today. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to finish with a nice little drink here. Oh, that tasted Canadian. Oh, that tasted Canadian right there. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps. I'm not there to make any money. It's just for fun, so no worries, except it helps, you know. It makes me know that people are watching. It's fun, so it makes me want to do more. And give me a comment too if you don't mind. It's up to you. I'm not pushing anybody. And I say hi to all my friends back home too, and all the kids, my nephews. Ah, les petits neveux là en français, là, on va parler un petit peu. So, je vous souhaite une bonne journée. Puis, don't give up. Lâchez pas tout le monde. Je sais que ça peut être tough des fois, but on reste à la maison, puis tout le monde va être safe. Everybody stay home and stay safe. In these times, you know, we do our best. This is what everybody needs to do. Things, you know, with your hands. Have a good one. Cheers.